Maria Martin, born July 24, 1801, hailed from Polstead, Suffolk, as the daughter of Thomas Martin, a mole catcher. At the age of 24, in March of 1826, she became involved with William Corder, then 22 years old. Maria's allure had already led to relationships with men in the vicinity, resulting in the birth of 2 children. One child, from a liaison with Corder's elder brother Thomas, tragically passed away in infancy. However, the other child, Thomas Henry, was alive when Corder entered Maria's life. Although Thomas Henry's father, Peter Matthews, did not wed Maria, he dutifully sent financial support for the child's upbringing. Corder, born in 1803, hailed from a farming family and gained notoriety for his deceitful ways and his charm with women. Dubbed Foxy during his school days due to his cunning demeanor, he already had a history of fraudulent activities, including selling his father's pigs without authorization. Despite his father's efforts to resolve the matter privately, Corder persisted in his dishonest behavior. He further tarnished his reputation by cashing a forged check for £93 and aiding a local thief named Samuel Smith in stealing a pig from a neighboring village. Smith, when questioned by authorities, ominously predicted Corder's eventual demise by hanging. After a scandal involving the fraudulent pig sale, Corder was sent to London in disgrace, but returned to Polstead following the tragic death of his brother Thomas in a pond accident. Within 18 months, Corder lost his father and 3 brothers, leaving him as the sole caretaker for the family farm alongside his mother. Despite his desire to keep his relationship with Martin secret, she gave birth to their child in 1827 at the age of 25, expressing a desire for marriage. Although the child passed away, Corder purportedly still entertained the idea of marrying Martin. In the summer of that year, in the presence of Martin's stepmother, Anne Martin, Corder proposed eloping to Ipswich from the Red Barn. He claimed to have heard rumors of impending legal trouble for Martin due to her out-of-wedlock children. Initially planning to elope on a Wednesday, Corder postponed to Thursday, citing various reasons including his brother's illness, despite most accounts indicating his brothers were deceased by then. On Friday, May 18, 1827, Corder arrived at the Martins' cottage, urging Martin to leave immediately, falsely claiming that a warrant had been issued for her arrest. Despite Martin's apprehension about leaving in daylight, Corder persuaded her to disguise herself in men's clothing for the journey to the Red Barn, where they would change attire before continuing to Ipswich. Shortly after Corder departed from the house, Martin ventured to meet him at the Red Barn, nestled on Barnfield Hill, approximately half a mile from the Martins' residence. This marked the final time she was seen alive. Meanwhile, Corder also vanished temporarily, but later resurfaced, asserting that Martin had relocated to Ipswich or another nearby locale. He cited reluctance to bring her back as his wife immediately, fearing the disapproval of his social circle and family. As pressure mounted for Corder to produce his purported wife, he eventually absconded from the area. He corresponded with Martin's family, insisting they were married and residing on the Isle of Wight. He offered various explanations for her lack of communication, ranging from illness to lost letters. Suspicion intensified, particularly fueled by Martin's stepmother's unsettling dreams about Martin's death and burial in the Red Barn. On April 19, 1828, she persuaded her husband to investigate, leading to the grim discovery of Martin's decomposed remains concealed in a sack within one of the grain storage bins. Despite the advanced decomposition, Martin's identity was confirmed through familial recognition and distinct physical traits, such as missing teeth. An inquest convened at the Cock Inn in Polstead, where Martin was officially identified by her sister Anne based on recognizable features, including hair and clothing remnants. Notably, Martin's distinct missing tooth further corroborated her identity. Incriminating evidence against Corder surfaced, notably his green handkerchief, found wrapped around the victim's neck. Corder's whereabouts were easily traced when Ayres, the constable in Polstead, obtained his previous address through a friend's assistance. Collaborating with James Leah, a London police officer, they located Corder at Everley Grove House, a boarding residence for women in Brentford. Corder was managing the establishment with his new spouse, Mary Moore, whom he had encountered through a personal advertisement he placed in the Times. Under the guise of seeking accommodation for his daughter, Leah gained entry to Everly Grove House and apprehended Corder in the parlor, where he was casually dining with 4 women and attending to boiled eggs. The Dorset County Chronicle's accounts, as noted by Thomas Hardy, vividly describe Corder's capture in the midst of his morning routine. Upon being confronted by Leah about the charges, Corder adamantly denied any association with Martin or the crime. A search of the premises yielded damning evidence, including a pair of pistols purportedly acquired on the day of the murder, correspondence from Mr. Gardiner, potentially containing warnings about the discovery of the crime, and a passport from the French ambassador, suggesting possible plans for flight. Corder was transported back to Suffolk for the trial at Shire Hall, Bury St. Edmunds. The proceedings commenced on August 7, 1828, after being delayed due to the intense public interest surrounding the case. Hotels in Bury St. Edmunds began filling up as early as July 21st, and access to the courtroom was restricted to ticket holders due to the overwhelming demand. Despite this measure, the judge and court officials had to physically navigate through dense crowds gathered around the entrance. Presiding over the trial was William Alexander, who expressed dissatisfaction with the media's extensive coverage, which he believed prejudiced the case against the defendant. Corder pleaded not guilty to the charges, although the exact cause of Martin's death remained uncertain. Speculations suggested she may have been fatally stabbed with a sharp object, possibly Corder's sword, or strangled, indicated by his handkerchief found around her neck. Additionally, evidence hinted at gunshot wounds. Corder faced multiple charges, including murder and forgery, to prevent any possibility of a mistrial. Witness testimonies were crucial to the prosecution's case. Anne Martin recounted the events of Maria's disappearance and her own unsettling dreams. Thomas Martin described exhuming his daughter's body, while Maria's 10-year-old brother, George, testified to witnessing Corder armed with a loaded pistol before the alleged murder. Leah provided details of Corder's arrest and the incriminating items discovered during the search of his residence. The prosecution argued that Corder's reluctance to marry Martin stemmed from her knowledge of his criminal activities and disputes over money meant for her child. In his defense, Corder admitted to being with Martin in the barn but claimed to have left after an argument. He asserted that he returned upon hearing a gunshot, only to find Martin dead with one of his pistols nearby. Despite his plea for leniency, the jury swiftly delivered a guilty verdict after a brief deliberation of 35 minutes. Baron Alexander sentenced Corder to hang, delivering a solemn invocation for divine mercy upon his soul. In the days leading up to his execution, Corder wrestled with the decision to confess, eventually succumbing to the pressure of various sources, including his wife, the prison chaplain, and prison officials. He maintained his innocence regarding Martin's stabbing, attributing her death to a tragic accident during a heated altercation. On August 11, 1828, Corder was escorted to the gallows in Bury St. Edmunds, appearing too feeble to stand unaided. Shortly before noon, in front of a sizable audience, estimated between 7,000 and 20,000 spectators, he was hanged. Just before the executioner drew the hood over his head, Corder, prompted by the prison governor, spoke his final words. "I am guilty. My sentence is just. I deserve my fate, and may God have mercy on my soul." In October of 1896, Elva Zona Hester, known as Zona, crossed paths with a blacksmith named Erasmus Stribling Trout-Shoe. They swiftly tied the knot, with Zona adopting Shoe's surname. Tragically, on January 23, 1897, Zona was discovered lifeless in her residence, the cause of her death recorded as childbirth. She was laid to rest the following day, January 24, 1897, at what is now recognized as the Soul Chapel Methodist Cemetery. A chilling twist to the tale emerged when Zona's mother, Mary Jane Hester, professed to encounter her daughter's apparition at her bedside. Mary Jane encountered a harrowing tale in which Zona's ghost revealed that she had been murdered by Erasmus. After being supposedly informed by the ghost, Mary Jane Hester took it upon herself to approach the local prosecutor, John Alfred Preston. Spending hours in his office, she passionately pleaded for him to reconsider her daughter's death. Whether Preston truly believed in the supernatural tale remains a mystery, but he harbored enough doubt to instruct deputies to reinvestigate key individuals, including Dr. Knapp, likely in response to growing suspicions among the community that Zona's demise was not natural. Taking personal initiative, Preston confronted Dr. Knapp, who admitted to an incomplete examination of the body. This prompted the decision for an autopsy, leading to the authorization of an exhumation and the formation of an inquest jury. On February 22, 1897, Zona's remains were inspected closely in the local one-room schoolhouse. The autopsy, spanning 3 hours, unveiled the grim truth: Zona's neck had been fractured. The subsequent report, released on March 9, 1897, detailed the grisly findings. The discovery was made that the neck was broken and the windpipe mashed. On the throat were the marks of fingers, indicating that she had been choked. The neck was dislocated between the first and second vertebrae. The ligaments were torn and ruptured. The windpipe had been crushed at a point in front of the neck. As a result, Shue was apprehended and indicted for the murder of his spouse. While awaiting trial, Erasmus Shue was incarcerated in Lewisburg jail. As the legal proceedings unfolded, disturbing revelations about his past emerged. Shue had been married twice before Zona. His initial marriage ended in divorce, marked by accusations of severe cruelty from his former spouse, while his second wife passed away under mysterious circumstances within a year of their union. Zona represented his third marriage, and during his time in confinement, Shue openly discussed his desire to wed 7 women, expressing confidence in his eventual release due to what he perceived as lack of incriminating evidence. The trial commenced on June 22, 1897, with Mary Jane Hester serving as Preston's key witness. While Preston focused his questioning on established facts, avoiding the topic of ghostly apparitions, Shue's defense sought to undermine Mrs. Hester's credibility by extensively interrogating her about her daughter's purported visit during cross-examination. Despite relentless scrutiny, Mrs. Hester remained steadfast in her testimony, refusing to falter under pressure. The defense strategy ultimately backfired, as the judge struggled to dismiss the significance of the ghostly account, leaving many in the community swayed by its influence. Consequently, on July 11th, Shue was convicted of murder and handed a life sentence. Interestingly, the prosecution never referenced the Greenbrier ghost during the trial, indicating its absence in the case against Shue. Erasmus Shue's life came to an end on March 13, 1900, within the confines of the West Virginia State Penitentiary, located in Moundsville, succumbing to an unidentified epidemic. His final resting place was in an unmarked grave within the precincts of the local cemetery. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to join our community. We upload every Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. For more content like this, be sure to check out our other videos on the channel. You can also follow us on our other social media platforms for uploads and updates. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.